The details of the Bo Bichette contract extension have been released, and we'll break it all down on this episode of Jay's Digest, as well as the spring training schedule. It's been revealed, and we'll have that coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, we don't have too much to get into today. A couple of little news bits coming out of Jays land, but if you're a fan of the NBA, the trade deadline was just unreal. Twitter was going crazy, and I was loving it, and it was just great.
Yeah, it was great, and it helps pass the time in the Blue Jays slow part of the offseason before it really starts to get going. So if you are a fan of the NBA, it was a pretty good day. Maybe not so much if you're the Raptors, but make sure to hit the subscribe button, and let's just get right into the first topic, which is Bo Bichette's contract details being revealed. And obviously yesterday we had our video on the fact that he signed a 3-year deal, and Ben Nicholson-Smith was very, very close with his estimate. We estimated around $33 million. He was only around $100,000 off, and here was the screenshot. It is a $33.6 million deal over 3 guaranteed years with no options, and escalators and awards can bring the 3-year total to as much as $40.65 million. So a lot of people responded to this tweet, actually, and I'll get your thoughts on it here, of course, Peter, saying that it was a fleece in the Blue Jays' perspective, saying it was a very good deal. So what are your thoughts on this deal and the fact, I guess, that Ben Nicholson-Smith was right on the money with his guess?
Well, the whole point of having years of service time is to keep your club under that tax threshold, and you need guys that are going to make $5-6 million a year, and you can't pay everyone $20 million. It's not sustainable. But to only be $100,000 off, I wish that was my problem. I wish I had that kind of leeway in life financially. But I digress. It could be a great deal if Bo Bichette's defense improves significantly this season, which I think it will. He works very hard, and if he becomes even an average defender, he's going to be a top 4, maybe top 3 shortstop in the game of baseball. And he's already such a phenomenal hitter. He's just got to figure it out on that side of the ball, but it's very crucial for a shortstop. And considering his work ethic and his upward trajectory that he's had over his career, I see no reason why he can't accomplish that.
Yeah, and like we discussed yesterday, the defense is the big thing. If he can become a league average defender, he'd instantly become, like you said, probably a top 5 shortstop. And then if he obviously gets plus defense, the sky's the limit for him. He's one of the best hitters in baseball and has been since he came to the league. And I'll pop it up one more time. So $33.6 million is a very, very reasonable price. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too low. And to lock up those arbitration years, again, it's not an extension in case you didn't see yesterday's video. So he's only locked up for 3 more years. It's not an extension, but it's just to cover the arbitration years and to get on his good side a little bit, because it seems like maybe they are planning to keep him after all for the future. And this was a tweet by Thomas Hall saying, like I discussed earlier, Ben Nicholson-Smith's original report of 33.5 is pretty bang on here, off by just $100K. That puts Bichette at $11.2 million AAV over 3 years, pushing the Blue Jays CBT payroll to $250 million. And this is kind of the important part here. It leaves Toronto with a little breathing room beneath the second luxury tax of $253 million. So they did set themselves up pretty nice. And when you think about it, an $11.2 million AAV for a player like Bo Bichette, obviously, it's not an extension, but given the contracts that were going out, you got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, of course. And now we're not sure if it's spread out evenly over the 3 years.
Probably
I
isn't.
doubt it,
Yeah.
because it probably isn't. Yeah, because they were headed for arbitration. The Jays were at 5 million. Bo Bichette was at 7.5. So what I saw floating around there was that in the first year it would be around 6 million, then 10.5 million, and then 16 and
Yeah,
a
something
half
like that.
million, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that math checks out. I'm no mathematician. That's why I'm not an engineer by now. But yeah, I think that's fair, considering how he'll progress as a player. I'm sure he'll be worth the 16.5 million in a couple years' time. And like you said, this is real good for the relationship, which seemed to have a little bit of a strain on it not too long ago, as they were very far apart in negotiations. And Ross Atkins, we talked a little bit about basketball early on in the video. I think Ross Atkins has now reached the pinnacle of Toronto front offices in the major sports. I think he has overtaken Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, at least in this, in 2022, 2023. He's had a better off-season trade deadline season than his Raptor counterparts, we can say.
Yeah, I'll agree for this year. I don't know about the whole track record, but this year for
No,
sure, they've had a phenomenal offseason. And this Bo thing, because again, we made a video, I think it was maybe a month ago now, with the Kevin Barker saying that the relationship seemed a bit strained. And maybe the Jays, woke up a little bit and were like, if they're going to extend him in the future, may as well just pay the I guess, extra bit now, even just to lock up the arbitration year so this doesn't happen in the future. And like you said, and we discussed, phenomenal player. Obviously, defense is the only knock. He's been an unbelievable hitter since he's come to the major leagues, has well above average, hits for contact, hits for power. He's phenomenal, and I'm excited to have him hopefully as a part of the major core. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on the deal. I think you can't really complain too much. And I guess we'll move on to the second topic now, which is very exciting to talk about because spring training is upon us very soon, and the schedule has been released along with some road games that will be televised. So let's pop up the screenshot now, and we'll get the here are all the dates for the spring training home games. You guys can pause the video, screenshot it for yourself. We're not going to go through all of them there, but it starts in approximately 3 weeks, February 26th against the Yankees. And Peter, do you have any games here that you're really looking forward to, or are you just excited to get baseball started again? Because that's kind of how I feel right now.
Uh, I'm just gonna try to catch as many as I can there. I'm excited for baseball. That's the bottom line. And I'll just say one more thing about Bo Bichette before we fully dive deep into these spring training games here. You said the only knock on him is the defense. It's a big knock
Yeah.
though. It's um it's something that's very important for a shortstop, and we've seen great Blue Jay teams in the past. They've had Gold Glove caliber shortstops. In Troy Tulowitzki in the '90s, they had very good defense up the middle. So it's important, and if he can figure it out, he's going to be in another stratosphere of the elite players there. But for these spring training games, I'm fired up for some baseball, man. Whether it's competitive or not, I'm excited to see what some of the young guys are going to do. Barger or Elvis Martinez,
Tiedemann.
some of the pitchers as well, maybe Ricky Tiedemann, Nate Pearson. I'm excited to see Yasser Zulueta, Hayden Jenger, Sam Roberts. The list just goes on and on and on. And there's just so many tantalizing prospects in the Jays system that have a chance to make an impact this year.
And that's the thing. This is one of the more exciting spring trainings simply because there are some spots kind of open and lots of competitive stuff going down and players that we're excited to see. And Ricky Tiedemann is the big one. Hopefully they start him in a televised game. And one other quick thing to note before I show you one other screenshot is most of these games are starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you're working or whatever's happening, maybe try to free up some time. Most of them are in the afternoon with a couple there at night, March 24th and March 25th. But regarding the televised games, this is from Thomas Hall saying, with Sportsnet carrying every home game of the Blue Jays' 31 spring training games will be televised this season. Here are the confirmed road TV games if you want to catch the TV ones that aren't hosted by Sportsnet. February 28th, March 17th, March 20th, and March 26th, hosted by different news sources, NBC, Bally, and yes. So just if you wanted to catch those, you can as well. But seems like Sportsnet is televising a lot of them this year, which is very exciting. And the
Yeah.
main thing is Ricky Tiedemann. That's the main guy I'm excited for. But honestly, we're going to have content on tons of the other guys because we've spoken about him a lot throughout the offseason, about which, the Fernandezes as well, Junior and Julian. It's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and for all you diehards out there, I don't know how fired up you'd be for spring training, but if you want to watch or catch all 31 games, it will be available on Sportsnet Radio as well. So Ben Wagner, the play-by-play voice for Sportsnet 590, The
Yep.
Fan, you guys can hear it on there. So if you're really itching for some baseball and those games that you might not be able to catch there, then you'll be able to listen on the fan.
Yeah, you won't be able to watch, but yeah, like you said, you'll be able to listen. But hopefully, spring training flies by. We see some good things, and who knows? I would like to see Ricky Tiedemann just dominate spring training, and maybe make a hard decision for the front office halfway through the year, depending on what happens there. But we'll move into the final topic now, and let us know in the comments out of these games which one you're most excited to watch, or I guess listen to, depending if it's on TV. But we'll move into the final topic, which we're going to touch on this very, very quickly because we've reacted to a lot of lists here, and this one, we haven't reacted to one in a while. This one got tons of traction on Twitter for very, very good reason. And here it is. This is MLB's top 100 players, and they only released so far. We're going to react to 90 to 81. Once the full list comes out, we might do a video on it, depending on what kind of content is relevant at the time. But Peter, I'll let you take the floor here. Alejandro Kirk at 90 is way too is not low enough. I guess it's too high. And I don't know. I'm going to let you take the floor and quickly discuss this before we
Mm.
wrap up this video because I know a lot of Jays fans on Twitter were not happy about it, even though these lists at the end of the day don't really mean a whole lot.
Well, we've it's been well documented that the talent in baseball now is just so endless, and there's so many great players that wherever you rank them, someone's going to get snubbed just because uh, is this guy a top 50 player? Probably, but there are so many guys deserving of those spots. But Like if you pop up that list one more time, you'll see Eloy Jimenez is ahead of Alejandro Kirk, who plays left field. Eloy Jimenez is a left fielder. You know, that's not a premium position. Alejandro Kirk might be the best hitter of the bunch, and he's a catcher who plays a premium defensive position. So I don't know how they value players. He's behind a couple of first basemen that he also hits better than. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But we got to see the rest of the list before we react, because some Jays might be a little bit further up than they deserve to be, and I expect that to be the case. But it remains to be seen. But these lists, you always got to take them with a grain of salt. Someone's got to get snubbed, and unfortunately, it's usually a Toronto Blue Jay.
Yeah, and may as well react to them all we can, because within a couple weeks, when spring training starts up, these lists will be irrelevant. The season will be on the go, and it won't really matter much. And one other quick thing I'll touch on this list is Dalton Varsho and Teoscar Hernandez. Varsho two behind Hernandez. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's best not to get into it today.
I agree. Let us, you guys in the comments can get into that one. Just interesting that, obviously the big trade went down, but we'll digress. We'll leave that there, and that'll wrap up this video. It's an exciting time to be a Jays fan. Baseball's starting up very soon. We're through the bulk of the off season, and the season's just around the corner. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Tons of content coming up. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.